How to build a Blackgates Sweet Pea 5-inch gauge locomotive. This is part 7, showing some of the pre-cut and ready-made parts that are available for all you Sweet Pea builders out there. When building a miniature locomotive, there are two schools of thought. Some people like to make every part of it, machine the castings, make the frames by sawing thick pieces of metal, and other people buy pre-cut parts and pre-made parts. These days I fall into the latter category. I prefer some help with the building. I'm not getting any younger, and like everyone else, I'm running out of time. So in this case, I'm afraid I would opt for the pre-machined and pre-cut parts option every time, but one or two things bother me slightly. When I built my 7 1/4 inch gauge titch many years ago, I machined the smoke box from a solid billet of steel. The job took 6 hours and I filled 2 dustbins full of swarf. I'd like to say I enjoyed every minute of it, but no, it was very slow and very tedious. This is possibly a better option, gunmetal rings and a brass barrel, although personally I would prefer a piece of steel tubing for the smoke box because paint sticks much better to steel than it does to brass. Now I'm going to move on to the wheels. This is a fairly standard casting made from cast iron. There are two fundamental problems in making the wheels using cast iron like this. The first thing is you have to machine them, and the other thing is full-size steam locomotives have steel tyres on cast iron wheels. There is quite a bit of work in successfully machining a set of 4 wheels, believe it or not. You have to turn the part and bore the centre and then also drill a hole for the crank pin. And the bored hole in the centre and the crank pin hole have to be extremely accurate. When machining a locomotive wheel set, personally I bore the centre and then I make a plug that fits in the centre and I make a jig for drilling the crank pins in every wheel, so that all the crank pin holes are in exactly the same place relative to the centre. Alternatively, you can do it this way. Blackgates Engineering can supply a full set of Sweet Pea wheels which are CNC machined in steel, so the steel is going to grip the track better than cast iron, and there's not much work to do on this. The most difficult thing to do would be the painting. In order to cover up the tool marks, as you can see here, I would use high build etch primer, and plenty of it, 2 or 3 coats perhaps. With a light rub down between coats, that would get rid of the tool marks. When I turn the wheel round, as you can see, it's ready to go. It's not the best steel finish I've ever seen, but it's okay on the back because you would have to rub this down before painting it, to roughen up the steel as a key for the paint. This has already been done by the cutting tool on the front of the wheel, so this is a bonus. The question is, which wheel would you choose? My personal preference is the cast iron one, manually machined in my workshop. The choice is yours. Here's the existing wheel on the locomotive, so I don't need any more. I'm a little bit puzzled why people peg the wheels onto the axle from the front. I always do it from the rear. I'd better rephrase that. I always do it from behind the wheel. After Loctiting the wheel to the axle, all I do is drill a hole both into the wheel and the axle and fit a grub screw. It's not going anywhere. The wheel that you are looking at started off like this, as a rough cast iron casting, but after a bit of machining it looks good. Here's a side-by-side comparison, either a finished CNC wheel or a machined rough casting. Both are available from my friends at Blackgates Engineering. Here's the completed smoke box on the Sweet Pea as I bought it. It has cast aluminium rings. Both of the rings are riveted in place at the front and rear of the smoke box. So what about making the chimney? You can buy this casting from Blackgates Engineering, clean it up and stick it straight on top. But the only problem is it doesn't look right. A Sweet Pea has a long chimney. However, the solution to this problem is simple. You just cut this casting in half. Maybe not exactly in the middle, but you end up with a top casting and a base mounting casting. Both of these need machining and boring to accept a piece of tube which forms the chimney. During this series I will be mentioning Blackgates engineering quite a lot, but I would like to make it clear that this is not a sponsorship deal. I've been a customer of Blackgates engineering for possibly around 45 years. And over such a long period you get to know the people, particularly Phil and Jackie, who are the owners of the business, but I don't want to leave out Matt, who is really good at his job. Here's the story so far: a pile of castings on the bench and some frame steel, already laser cut, plus the CNC machine wheel. So what about the smoke box door? This is one I prepared earlier. It's the one that came with the engine as I bought it. This is a gunmetal casting for a smoke box door. And I won't have to use this because the idea of buying a part finished model was to speed up the process. I would prefer it if this series did not run into hundreds of episodes. Another part available for the Sweet Pea is a ready-made, well almost ready-made, smoke box casting. There's a minimum amount of work on this to make it a perfect fit for the smoke box, but the smoke box I have is already made and that's been fabricated. I'm definitely going to use this pre-made cylinder steam chest stud set, although I may clean up the other ones for other jobs and keep them in the main workshop. You can never have too many surplus 4BA studs. A good stock of BA thread small studs are well worth having, from 2BA down to 7BA. Yes, I know you can make them yourself. They're very simple to manufacture, but they take time. And while on the subject of time, the time has come for me to go. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.